Hello, everybody, and welcome to Kyrus Has Friends. My name is Kyrus, and today we have a very special guest. But before we get to her, if you're interested in following more of me and the stuff that I do, please be sure to follow me on Facebook and on Instagram at The Vibe with Kai. You can also follow me on Snapchat and on TikTok at Kyrus Keenan. And you can visit my website. It has videos and blogs and all kinds of stuff that'll make you do good, be good, feel good, and live a good life full of good vibes and all that jazz. And then last but not least, we do have merchandise now, believe it or not, which is crazy to think about, but we have merchandise now. And you can go, if you go get your stuff now, 15% off. You can get your t-shirts, your sweatshirts, you get an apron, whatever you want, we have it at the store. So go to thevibewithkai.com, 15% off. But enough about me. I'm sitting here with somebody that I grew up with in my theatrical career, somebody that has seen me from when I was very young until up till now, and she is the artistic director over at the Kelsey Theater in at Mercer County Community College in West Windsor. Kitty Getlik, hi. Hello.
Hi, Kyrus. How are you?
I'm doing well. I appreciate you coming on to the show today, because we are living in some very interesting times, to say the least.
Longest 3 months of my life.
It has been crazy, just all of the things that have gone down, and we're going to touch upon a lot of that. But I guess the one of the first things that I want to chat with you about is just how the pandemic has affected Kelsey Theater. How is Kelsey doing right now? Like
it was absolutely the most heartbreaking thing. We had to cancel the night that would have been opening night for 33 Variations. Mm-hmm. So these people rehearsed for months and months, and this poor designer girl was at the theater night and day for 3 days painting a beautiful mural on the Kelsey stage floor. And then the word came down on Friday afternoon that we could not open on Friday night. And that was the end of that. And it was not only that, but we also do on Saturday mornings, we do classes for little kids, kindergarten, creative theater for kindergarten through 5th grade. Mm-hmm. And they had been working on their pieces for 10 weeks, 10 Saturdays, and they were supposed to do their performance that Saturday morning. And of course, they couldn't do their performance that they had been working on. Mm-hmm. And it just was like, it was heartbreaking. It was really, really heartbreaking to tell these people that they couldn't do it.
Right.
And, but, the college had to close, and they had to keep people as safe as they possibly can, and right now, nobody goes on campus. If you want to go on campus, you have to put in a request, and it has to be approved by the president. Right. And there can be only one person in a building at a time. Or if there are 2 people in the building, you have to prove that you're going to be on a different floor and you're going to stay on that floor.
When was the last time you were in Kelsey Theater?
March 13th.
Is this the longest you've been not in that theater?
41 years. 41 years. I have gone to that theater every day, pretty much every day of my life for 41 years.
Mm-hmm. And
it's
how
absolutely horrible.
How because like we're obviously living in unprecedented times, with all of this. How do you feel that theater can even go on from this? Are there things that have been discussed, internally with for those of you that don't know, Kelsey Theater is on the campus of Mercer County Community College in West Windsor, New Jersey. So it's not like Kitty can just walk in whenever she wants. Like it's on a state-run, it's state-run, right? State-run college campus.
Oh, yeah.
Well, like county-run.
It's community college. It's owned. Actually, it's supposed to be 1/3 state, 1/3 county, and 1/3 tuition is supposed to actually be the make of the operating budget, but it's not, right, unfortunately now, because the governor took all the money away from the college.
Right.
The money away from all the colleges.
Right. And is the arts program usually the first to kind of see?
Oh yeah, most colleges around the state are doing away with their arts programs and their sports programs.
Mm-hmm. And how are you feeling? Just like you as a person, because I know there is no Kelsey Theater without Kitty Getlik. How do you feel?
It's really been horrible. I mean, I think the thing that matters the most to me is we usually give about 1,000 local people a year a chance to perform in the shows. That's local people and students, faculty and staff. And that includes performers and crew and orchestra members, because we have live music for all our productions. And now those people have no way to free their soul, so to speak. You know, theater is how you free your soul. Mm-hmm. And they have no way to do that. And in fact, I belong to a Facebook group, which is literally the name of the Facebook group is my show got canceled due to the pandemic, and now there's
I'm part of that group too. Yeah.
And now there's just this void. And I really think that's the case. And if you studied any kind of management techniques or anything like that, they say take care of your body and your spirit. Mm-hmm. Been really hard to take care of our spirit at this point.
Yeah, it's been one thing I've been saying to people that aren't in the theater world. For a lot of us, it feels as though like our safe haven, our safe space has just been ripped away. And for a lot of us, because for shows that go up at Kelsey, a lot of us will work during the day and we go rehearse there at night. So if anything, performing there or just community theater in general, it serves as an escape for a lot of us. And for the last couple of months, we have not had that escape. But either as a performer or audience members. Being able
it's difficult to not go into a really deep depression about it.
Right.
And sorry.
No, you're fine. You're fine.
Do this. And another part of this is that we have a lot of patrons who are senior citizens, who are our subscribers, and because we do a different show every 2 weeks. And the number of patrons who over the years have said to me that they live for coming to the theater. It is their only thing they look forward to in life, is coming to Kelsey Theater and seeing the people and seeing the shows and following the different performers as they grow up, from being in 'Twas the Night Before Christmas to when they're little, and then, growing up and being in the other shows. And they look forward to that. And now they have nothing to look forward to.
Have you spoken personally with a lot of the patrons?
I've gotten a lot of emails and responded to it, talked to a lot of them basically through email, but it's just, on the other hand, I've been kept busy. The college is still working, and there's I'm on a lot of committees at the college, and for instance, the COVID-19 committee, the reopening task force, the diversity and inclusion task force. There's another one we're on now, but at any rate, and there's one of the things that was the federal government gave money for the CARES Act,
right?
But they gave the money to the colleges and said, you have to give this money to the students. Mm-hmm. How do you get that word out to the students? This money is there, there's hundreds of thousands of dollars there for you to apply to. Mm-hmm. So we literally had to be reaching out to people to try and get them to apply, to get this money from the CARES Act. And it's also difficult because maybe some of these people are people who are in dire need, right? And they're trying to basically make ends meet. And they're scrambling around and maybe working at Amazon or whatever to try and make ends meet. They don't have time to do this whole application.
Sure.
And then you have other people who perhaps are part of middle-class families whose parents normally made, I don't know, $100,000 or something a year. So they're not used to applying for any kind of, scholarship or money or anything like that because they haven't had to. But now parents aren't working.
Right. Is it fair to say that even if we do resume to some sort of normalcy, is it fair to say that theater will not be the same?
Theater will not be the same. We did a survey and send it out to people. And I think, obviously, until there's a vaccine that is widely available, you're not going to be able to, you're not going to feel comfortable sitting inside an indoor theater, really. We are looking to space the seats out, only 25% of the audience, and, keeping 6 feet between everybody, and doing shows without intermission so that you don't have the bathroom issues. Taking people's temperature when they come in. But again, these are volunteer performers. They're not professional actors. So they are doing this in their spare time because that's what they love to do. Can they take a chance, on doing any kind of scene where they're anywhere near close to somebody? Musicals, there's been studies done about singing. And
it's one of the worst things that you can do to spread it.
Right. Singing, you can project up to 16 feet, not 6 feet, 16 feet.
Yeah, I think they said singing and loud talking. Singing and loud talking.
Well, okay, there goes me. So, and that's the biggest part of the problem. And by the way, just before this happened, I got cast in a show.
Which show was it?
I was so mad. Gentleman's Guide to Love and Murder.
Oh yeah, that the Mowers were doing.
Yes, and I got cast as the housekeeper, and I was thinking,
I've said this to a couple other people that I've talked to before, but I do truly believe that when it is safe again, whatever, and this is especially true for the Kelsey, whenever it does return, whatever the first show is back, whatever the first thing is, it's probably going to be the best show that theater has ever seen. Not even just from a production standpoint, from an emotional standpoint, because I think a lot of actors and actresses, dancers, choreographers, directors, lighting designers, have all taken this for granted, including myself.
Yeah.
The fact that we could just go anywhere and do a show, and that is not there. And I think that when we do
go anywhere and see
back, right, and I know for me, I'm going to be making it a point to go see more shows, especially ones that my friends are doing, because it's weird that we're getting a sense of what life without theater is like, and I don't like it.
Horrible. It's
I
really
don't like it. Mm-hmm.
And, I guess it's a lesson we had to learn.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
I guess it's a lesson we had to learn and not take it for granted.
Right. So I am hopeful in that regard, and I know there's only so much that you can do other than, I don't know if you're doing your own personal research on how to cure COVID-19. If you make any progress, make sure you let the world know, please.
Boy, I tell you. and I've watched streaming things, recordings of shows and that kind of stuff. The National Theater is doing one every week. They offer one, and Andrew Lloyd Webber has often offered some of his, and not the same.
Yeah, it's not the same. There's nothing that beats the feeling of a live audience and live performers.
No, there is actually a tangible electricity that goes between the audience and the performer that you can't replace.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
You know. And
I can't wait for it to come back. It's gonna come back, and it's gonna be fun.
It's got to come back, and I think, and we did do a survey, and most of the people said, within the first 2 months, they're definitely going to come back and see, as soon as we open again, and we're looking at hopefully January.
Okay.
But again, with smaller shows to start off slow.
Right. Smaller shows like Les Mis and Anything Goes.
Yeah, right. But we lucked out with 33 Variations.
Yeah.
Because there's only 7 people in the cast. And there are 2 sets of married couples.
Oh, right.
And there's 2 people who are cohabitating.
Right.
So, hey, you're kind of right in there.
Right.
So we're going to be able to do that. But Yeah, other than that, it's probably going to be, very small,
Right.
shows.
Mm-hmm.
We'll work out the logistics as we go. You're going to have to have your temperature taken.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to have to wear a mask.
Mm-hmm.
But, what do we do if somebody takes their mask off during the show? Are we going to
Right.
attack them and have them thrown out, or,
Yeah, I guess it's just one of those things that we'll have to just, because theaters around the world, including Broadway, are still trying to figure out what's going to happen next. So like, there's no answer yet, So but hopefully we'll get there. So I do want to talk about just Black Lives Matter and how that has affected the theater community and all of that. So obviously, like, Kelsey Theater to me has been, it's where I grew up, doing theater. My first show there was in 2004, where I did How to Succeed in Business Without Really Trying, directed by John Zimmerman. And that was my second community theater show, because my first show was at the Park, but that was my first show ever at Kelsey.
First show was Footloose. Footloose, and that's when I was a manager at the opening.
Yeah. So like that, like this, and since then I lost count of how many shows I've been in, directed. Produced. Like the theater has been very close to my heart. Admittedly, the one thing that I've always personally struggled with is that quite often I was the only black person in the shows there's maybe, we could probably name 10 to 15, I would say, black performers, creative team members, musicians that have performed there at Kelsey. And like, that's not just a Kelsey problem. Like that, like I've been very blessed to perform all over the state. And it's a problem that
it's a problem around the country.
Right.
But
including Broadway, which we're hearing a lot of stuff about that as well.
Yeah. We've talked about this in the past. You're on my advisory commission, and we've always brainstormed on ways to get more people to come, to participate. It's very frustrating. I think it's very frustrating. And, I teach intro to theater. You were in my class.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
And I would get these wonderful students, in my theater class. And I would say, come and audition for the show, we want you to come and audition for the show. And they would audition for the show. And they very often would be in one, maybe two shows. And then they would leave the college and, we wouldn't see them again. Or what's happened to me several times is they do a couple of shows at Kelsey Theater, and next thing I know, they're working in New York, getting paid to do theater. And that's part of the problem. We don't get paid to do it. You're doing it. You're spending all this time and effort. And it actually, it actually costs you money to be in the show.
Sure.
Right? You're spending your gas money, you're eating fast food on your
yes. Story of my life.
You're buying tickets for your parents.
Right.
And this kind of stuff, and you're going out to eat afterwards,
Right. We do it for the pure joy that we get, and the fact that we just love the art piece.
But yeah, how do we get, and not just how do we get more Black performers? Worcester County Community College is in an area, West Windsor, which is probably half Indian.
Sure.
And a good proportion of Chinese people.
Sure.
Well.
Right. So yeah. So like
Chinese people either.
Right. So like I think so. There was not just with Kelsey, but just in general, for a lot of theaters, I know a lot of Black actors, including myself, had noticed that a lot of theaters just weren't saying much, right? For various reasons, whatever the reasons may be. And there were a lot of Black actors, and I want, for this instance, I do want to focus specifically on Black performers, right?
Right. Okay. Black Lives Matter.
Right.
You're talking about Black Lives Matter.
Right. So there was a lot of us that were upset with various theaters for, because we hear it all the time, saying we want to bring in Black performers, we want to, and like we were always, myself included, we're always too afraid to like just speak up and say how important it was to us. Because I think that theaters have just found a level of being, I guess, content with what they had, because it wasn't like mandatory, right, to bring in Black people unless you were doing a Black show. It'd be like, obviously, like you have to have Black people. But I know that there was a lot of Black people that were just upset because a lot of theaters are saying we want to include as many people, but then when something like the George Floyd murder happens, where we have these rallies saying Black Lives Matter.
Right.
There was a lot of theaters that were silent. And I guess my question is, like, I guess do you see, like, because there's a lot of Black performers, including myself, who are now refusing to perform or work with theaters now that don't have some sort of like just idea of what they possibly want to do, right? Because nobody's sitting here asking anybody to solve racism, right? Because like that's like not going to happen, right?
No, right.
But I guess my first question to you is, before we get into like some of the nitty gritty behind it, do you see, like, I guess, understand why a lot of the Black performers were just initially upset with I guess we could talk Kelsey Theater,
Absolutely.
At this. So can you like explain what exactly happened? And
okay, so there's a couple of things at play, right? Now, I'm not defending all theaters, right? What I am saying is that almost every theater, when that happened, was either completely shut down and all the people were laid off, or was running with a skeleton crew, right? We were pretty much shut down at Kelsey Theater, obviously. We were running with a skeleton crew as well. Most everybody got furloughed, for a better use of a word. But that's not what actually happened. When this happened, I was one of the first people to post on Facebook, on my Facebook page, about my reaction to the George Floyd thing. I saw it. I think I was one of the first people to see it because I posted it before I saw anybody else post about it. And I also posted it on my Instagram as well. Didn't think to post it, other places, right? Then we had a meeting with the president because Mercer County Community College, I'm part of Mercer County Community College, and we have a social media contract that we had to sign in order to be able to even have a Kelsey Theater website or a Kelsey Theater Facebook page. And so everything that goes up on that has to have permission. And the president was working on it. And the other crazy thing about it is that in academia, there's something about colleges where they feel like they have to discuss everything until it's a dead horse, literally beating a dead horse. So they were discussing it. I'm in the presidential meeting every morning at 10 o'clock in the morning, where she gives us the bad news, almost always. And this was something that was being discussed immediately after it happened. And but it took a while to actually get up there. As soon as it was up there, I reached out to our web person who's in charge of doing all the web pages for the college, and asked him to post it on the Kelsey Theater website. I don't have control of the main frame of the Kelsey Theater website. I only have control of farther down in the text. So as soon as I got the president's notice, I then posted it on the Kelsey Theater website, right? I'm only in the communications business, and I've only been in the communications business for 41 years, right? Did not even frickin' think to put it on the Kelsey Theater Facebook page or the Instagram or any of that, or Twitter or any of that stuff. Just totally, I was like, we're going to put this on the Kelsey Theater website. Well, now I find out like hardly anybody ever looks at the websites anymore. It's not a thing as much anymore as it used to be. And we're kind of behind the curve on that. And that was a big part of the problem. I felt,
are there things, I guess, that are being put in place just in case there were something else like this, like if something like this were to unfortunately happen again? Have there been any internal discussions about how to, because it was a problem, right? Because like, like a lot of us were looking, because like a lot of us feel as though our safe haven didn't really appreciate us, because
didn't respond.
We feel that we only get the calls when we're needed, right? So like, it's like, hey, we're doing ragtime. Hey, we're doing hairspray. Hey, we're doing insert show that requires Black people. And then we get the phone call, right? And so when we don't see anything from theaters, especially like our home theaters, we're like, well, what the heck? You know, I thought like, were you guys? It's like, and I know you, Kitty. Like you're not racist. I know you're not racist, and I know you have a kind heart. And
I try. Well, you know, you've done Avenue Q. Everybody's a little
racist, right? You know, but like, you know, it was like a little eye opening, because like I feel as though that when we are in such an unprecedented time, like I feel like that unprecedented measures should be taken. And I'm not blaming you or because I see this in the corporate world as well, where there's like this hesitancy to say the words Black Lives Matter.
I know, it's weird.
And it blows my mind, because I just don't understand. Like, because I can't tell you how many theaters have come to me, how many corporate offices have come to me, how many of my white allies have come to me saying, I want to say it, but I'm afraid of this. Or I'm afraid that the repercussions will be this, and like, and they'll say, "Oh, I'm exhausted with all of this talk about this," and I'm like, "Well, but like it's been a week for most people to talk about this subject, but like, like the fear that a lot of people in theater that our white allies have of speaking up, like that fear, that is something that Black people have had for 400 years about speaking up.
Absolutely.
So when we don't see like that backup from a place that like we call home, we're just like, what the heck?
Yeah,
and we don't know where to turn to. And it's like, oh, well, what's going to happen? So I guess, have there been any discussions in place for how like that kind of communication can, you know, if a message has to get out, like
be more, and not only that, but what the college has done is they've created a task force for diversity and inclusion, and it has a 3-year timeline, which is amazing for the college to get anything done in 3 years. But and I would like to do the same thing at Kelsey Theater. I've asked a couple of people to join me on a diversity task force, because I think the problem is not just getting Black performers to be in the theater and to feel supported by their theaters, right? But it's also a lot of my life, and a lot of what we do has always been focused on creating better theater, right? That's what we focus on. What it's made me think of, what it's made me realize, is that we need to not focus on creating better theater as much as we have to focus on using theater to create a better world. I think that is the answer.
Yeah, like it's like, I appreciate you saying that, really, because like I think that's theater and just
I think
art,
we have to
really,
do that.
like art in general. And I am hopeful that a lot of, I guess, theater companies have learned from this, and that they're going to be proactive, because I can tell you, Kitty, like there's a lot of Black performers that I've talked to that don't want to perform at Kelsey right now.
I know. I feel really bad about it.
And
Which is just self-defeating of its own purpose.
right. And I've had this conversation with a couple, colleagues of mine about like, because like some people have said to me, Kyrus, don't you think they're being a little too rough? Don't you think they're being a little too harsh on it? And I'm like, no, I don't think so, because like as passionate as I am about theater, I'm just as passionate, if not more so now, especially for equal opportunity. And I've always been a big proponent, and like I know my role in this too. So like one of the things that I'm going to be doing, like any show that I direct from this point forward or produce, I'm going to be, asking some of the local, students, some of the high school students, middle school students, college students, if you want to sit in on a rehearsal, if you want to, sit on a production meeting maybe, or shadow me as a director, like just because like, I think in theater, and I said this to Stacey Wolf, I interviewed Stacey Wolf, and I said to her, I feel like we live in this theater bubble where we just assume that everybody knows theater. Like we assume, oh, Hamilton's the most popular show in the world. Obviously, Hamilton. But like, I didn't discover theater until 8th grade, 9th grade. And some people will always say to me, oh, Kai, we tried to reach out, but it never works, never works. And my thing is like, yes, there's going to be 100 kids that you reach out to. 99 of them will be, like they might be washes. But that one person might be Kyrus Keenan Westcott or Lynn Baskin or Tia Brown, or, insert all of the Black performers that have graced the Kelsey Theater stage. And like, that's like super important. I think, and from the conversations that I've had with fellow Black actors, a lot of them feel as though theaters just give up. They say, oh, well, we can't, we tried. All right.
Yeah.
So
it's very true. And the other, I guess, dichotomy in it is you can do what's called, not open casting, what's the word? Non-traditional.
Oh, non-traditional casting, yeah. Non-traditional casting.
And there has been a lot more of that, I'd say, in the past 10 years than ever were before.
Sure, especially the last 5 years, thankfully Hamilton. I call it the Hamilton effect. Yeah.
I think there's been a lot of that. And, which I think is a good sign, right? But the other thing is not just doing, Oklahoma, right? How well does Oklahoma resonate to people who live in Hamilton Township, or Trenton, New Jersey, or Princeton? It doesn't really, I think you also have to do plays that will resonate to people who live in Trenton, who live in Hamilton, who live in Princeton. Do you know what I'm saying?
I do. Yeah, I'm sorry, go ahead.
You have to have the cast to do that. One of, I mentioned before, one of the things that I was most upset about was when we did a production of Once on This Island, and very, very talented and lovely girl, Kat Tierney, who's passed away, ended up playing the island girl, and she was magnificent. But she's possibly was the whitest girl I know, right? She was very, very, very pale. And it was so upsetting because I'm like, can we not get, I don't want to put on something that's not really representative of who it should be, You did In the Heights, when we did In the Heights. And again, not able to really get a full cast of just Hispanic and Black actors. You still had to use some white actors in that. We have to increase the reach, like you said, and I guess reaching out to the high school is the way to do it.
In addition to that, I also think that it has to expand a little bit more than that, because like the one thing that I don't think theaters should do, because another response that I get is, well, we did like Raisin in the Sun last year, but like for Black History Month, but it's like, no, I want us to do,
we did in October,
I don't want to be a flavor of the week.
No, we did
You know
it in
what I'm saying?
October, but yeah.
Right.
But
No, no. I'm just saying, like, that's what a lot of theaters have been
right.
doing. But you know,
And we were scheduled to do fences this coming January.
correct. Right. You know, and it's a very tough position to be in, obviously, right? Because you have to be able to bring in, you know, the people that you're looking for, but you're also obviously have to put butts in the seats, you know, and you know, make sure that the subscribers, who are a large base of many theaters survival, you know, that they're happy with what they get.
Yeah. Although we've offended them on occasion, you know.
Sure. Oh, sure.
I'm not averse to educating them a little bit.
Right. I just feel like we could always do more, you know, because
right.
like I don't think we've ever like done enough. I think that, and for those of you that don't know, Kelsey Theater has how many theater companies that perform there?
10.
12, 10. So 10 different theater companies that perform there. And if any of you that are part of the 10 theater companies, if you're watching this right now, I challenge you, please, to do what you can to really step up and be the leader in the pack here, right? Because the time is now. There's a lot of theater companies and a lot of theaters right now that are saying, how are we going to survive once the pandemic is done? Well, maybe we should start finding ways to open our doors to more people, or, you know, we might have to go into areas that is not necessarily in your comfort zone, you know? And
I think we need more Black directors too.
100. We need more Black directors, choreographers,
Black
musicians,
producers, directors, choreographers.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And this goes back to the bubble comment that I was saying before, that I think that we just assume that people know that that the opportunity is there, but that's not true. That's not true. There are people that my mom goes to church with that right in Trenton, have no idea what the Kelsey Theater is.
Right.
No idea that there's a major player in the theater world right up the street from them. No idea. None. Right. You know, let alone that they're looking, you know, to give people opportunity. And like my whole mindset is like, we're going to have to, in order to survive, even at this point, is to step out of our bubble and do more. And
I think so too.
You know, and even if we're talking casting specifically, you know, I talked to one, I'm not going to name the company, but I talked to one company and they said, well, at the top of our audition notices, we put up that we're looking for all ethnicities. And I said, that's not good enough. That's not good enough, because you can put it on your audition notice, but like, who's going to see it? How in depth are you getting into getting the word out to the communities that you reach out to, you know? So like Kelsey Theater companies, I please, like, and here's the other thing, like, this is community theater, right? With all 10 theater companies, I don't think that there's any reason why there can't be like some sort of unified stance here. Because I know, Kitty, that you kind of like, you gave the theater companies like the opportunity to put out their own, like, you know.
I asked them, I asked them to share their statement with me, and I put that on the Kelsey Theater website.
Right.
So I got but here's the other thing I want to say. I tried a few years ago to reach out to several Black theater companies in the area. And I asked them, please come and do a show at Kelsey Theater, you know, please. Or if you have somebody who, you know, you think is, you know, wants to do something, send them to us, let them come to us, you know. And I got no response. I was like really frustrated.
Right. Did you try it again after that?
No, and I need to try it again. I think we need to reach out again, and we need to find, because there are companies, you know, there are not enough companies because it takes some money, obviously, to do it. And we don't make money. Everybody knows. I hope everybody knows. Those of you who are in theater, we don't make money.
You don't do this for the money? What are you talking about?
We don't do this for the money. We don't do this for the money. Even Broadway producers, really, you know, at most they're getting 10% return, and that's only if it's wildly successful. You know, something like Hamilton, you
Right.
get percent back on your investment. That's it.
Right.
And you get to go to the opening night parties.
Right.
That's
Right.
it.
And most of the community theater shows, especially the ones that perform at Kelsey, the goal is to make your money back, right? That, you know, from
Just
like the
enough to
rights and
start your next
royalties
show.
and the set, and then that money that you make back goes right into the next show. If you end
Right
up in the
into
black,
next show.
great, cool, but all of that money goes towards the very next production that you do.
So
Yeah, I just
we need to find more. And like I said, we need to use the theater to create change.
Yes.
Right? We not only need to change the theater, but we need to use the theater to create change.
Right. Right. I agree.
And that's why I'm going to reach out to those folks that you spoke to.
Yeah, I hope
be on my task force, and let's work on this together. Let's create change.
Mm-hmm. And with that said, if they refuse, you know, I don't take it personally. You know, it's just like one of those things that, like, you know, we have to take, like, right now we have everybody's ear right now, because in 2 weeks, when the Black Lives Matter movement isn't cool anymore, when the hashtag goes away, and you know, when something else comes up and then just takes the thunder away, you know, we're going to be right back where we were. And then at that point, it's going to be even more awkward and weird, because we're going to be sitting there and we're going to be saying to all these theaters, okay, you put up this message about Black Lives Matter and solidarity, but what are you going to do about it? So I guess one of my last questions to you is, and I know that, like, there's a lot of things still on the table, there's a lot of things that still need to be discussed, but for a lot of the Black actors out there, like myself, who are refusing to do shows right now for theaters until there's some sort of, like, this is what we're doing kind of thing put out there. You know,
but see, I don't want to say, I'm not the person who should be saying this is what we're doing.
I think it is, though, because
I've never been Black.
Huh?
I don't know. I've never been Black.
Sure, but you're the artistic director.
Your help.
Right. No, I'm sure. Yes, I see what you're saying there. However, I mean, the final, like, you have a voice, and you have a platform and a stance because, like, our voices, we have tried to speak up, but, like, now we need your voice more than ever. Right. And because I know that you have a good heart, and I know that, like, you know, that you want to, you know, continue to help us grow. But I think that's probably one of the biggest things I've heard is that I'm not Black, what should I do? But, like, there's so much you can do, you know, like, like continuing to just, you know, have this conversation, especially when Black people aren't around, and say, okay, guys, look around right now. There's a bunch of white people here. That's a problem. Right? Yeah. What are we going to do about it? You know, and, like, that kind of stuff is really, really important. So, like, I yes, you're not Black, but you are a very, very, very important person to me, and the Black performers that go on the Kelsey Theater stage, because they're, like I said, when I think Kelsey Theater, I think of you. You know, and your voice means a lot. Yeah, and your voice means a lot. So, like, to hear you speak up and to help amplify the voices of the oppressed. That's why all of these protests out there, it's not just Black people. You know, you're getting the whole gambit, because, like, this is scary stuff, and we need every voice that we can get, including yours. And I hope that, you know, what would you say to the Black actors and actresses and creative team members like me that are refusing to perform for theaters right now? What would you say to them if you had their attention right now?
I would say that, as I said, theater itself is a platform. I mean, I know you're a Facebook person. You won an award. Facebook is a platform, but a theater is a much more powerful platform. All right. Live theater is a much more powerful platform than Facebook. And I think that I need that help to get shows to put on, to use theater as the platform that it should be. I mean, it has been a platform for many years to help the LGBTQ community, right? You have shows like La Cage aux Folles and that kind of stuff, which they have used the theater platform to a very effective extent. We need to use the Kelsey Theater platform to create an understanding with people, to make people see what it is they're not seeing. Like you said, looking around the room and they're all white people, what is it you're not seeing? What is wrong with this picture? You know? The way I was always raised to believe that, you know, color didn't make a difference, right? My best friend growing up was Black. Well, she was part Filipino, part Black. And my biggest shock was one time when I was, I think in 6th grade, I said to my mother, can Gina come and stay overnight? And my mother said, well, what would the neighbors think? What do you mean, what would the neighbors think? I'm having my friends stay overnight, you know. When I finally figured out what she was talking about, I was stunned because I had never been taught anything like that. I was absolutely stunned that she would even think. Who cares what the neighbors think? The neighbors need to mind their own business. The neighbors need to see that we have a friendship and how wonderfully we are together and that we can accomplish things together. And that's what I want to say. Can't do it by myself. I can try, but nobody's going to listen to me, really. I need help. So I'm asking for help. And I want to listen. I want to listen and learn. So that's what I'm asking for. Help me work on a task force. Let's listen and learn. Let's get some stuff accomplished.
I appreciate you talking with me today. I know that this is a very sensitive subject, understandably so, and it's not easy to come on a platform like this and talk about things that, like, we would have never thought that this would be 2020 is just throwing us curveballs left and right, and to say the least. So I know it's not easy, and I appreciate your insight. And I mean, I don't pretend to speak for every Black actor. You know, I can only speak for myself. But you know, I do hope that at some point in the near future, you know, that they're like the task force, or like there's some sort of just like clear vision, if anything. You know, I think that it starts with acknowledgement. I said this to a production company that I had a meeting with earlier this week. I said to them, it starts with acknowledgement. You know, saying, hey, this is where we are right now. This is what let's like have the God's honest truth conversation about where we sit and how we got here and what surrounds us right now. From there, once we acknowledge the issue, then it's like, okay, what are we going to do about it? You know, because obviously a lot of people were pushing for a statement from theaters, but I can tell you now, there's going to be a lot more push about action now. You know, especially
That's the
for
whole
me.
point.
And,
see, I don't think putting something on Facebook is much of a, you know, I mean,
it is a communication tool, though. That's the thing. Like, it is a powerful tool. Like a lot of the protests that have been organized, it wasn't organized on a website. It was organized on Facebook and Instagram and Twitter and TikTok, like all of these things. But, you know, so like it is a powerful tool to get the word out. And I think that
here's the other problem. The other problem is that we live in a world where this computer that I'm sitting in front of, it decides what to show me. Okay? It doesn't show me everything. It decides what it thinks I want to see, what it thinks I want to hear. That's the problem. That's the problem, because you can just turn that off, right?
Sure, but you can always go look for information though. Like if you like anybody, because like for example, I'm interested in roller coasters, right? But like my Facebook feed isn't full of roller coasters, so I can go look for roller coasters because I'm interested in it,
right?
So like I think I kind of don't buy that.
No, okay. All right.
You know, because I feel like if anybody that's truly interested in helping, you know, like they will like, you know, go out and say, okay, how can I help right now? I'm going to Google this. I'm going to Bing this. If you're on Bing, using Bing, go you.
Snopes is one of the best things in the world. I check Snopes all the time because stuff that people post.
Oh, sure.
And I'm like, all right.
Yeah.
Really true, you know. Not everybody does that. I want to tell you, I'm going to bet you 85% of the people don't even check what they're seeing or look for a different opinion. 85% of the people just take what's there, and
which is why we have to do our best, even though if that might be the case, still putting the truth out there, you know, to battle that. And to be an option out there, because if we decide not to,
well, I think
then it's going to be nothing but lies up there.
Yeah, I think the protests on the TV have been very good. Do you know?
Yeah, it's working, because but you know what? Now it's like you've heard our voices. No justice, no peace, right?
Right.
Now it's like, what are we going to do to fix it?
Right.
Because
that's what the college is working. That's what the college is working towards.
Right.
Too. They want to make sure that we fix this, that we fix what we
100%. Because I'm telling you, I don't think, because some people think I'm joking or I'm just trying to seize the moment here or whatever. But like, I'm serious. I'm not going to work for a theater right now, unless there's something. Right? Because like I just don't feel comfortable. Like obviously I'll help because I want to have this conversation. I have been having this conversation with allies, with theaters, with other Black performers and stuff. I can't tell you how many meetings and phone calls and text messages and all the stuff that I've been on with my white friends and theaters and Black friends over the past 2 weeks. You know. But I think we have to continue to use people like you as a helpful voice to help push, you know, a lot of things. And please don't, whatever you do, don't give up on us. Don't give up on us.
And let's use theater as a tool.
Yes.
Don't discount it as a tool. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Unfortunately, right now it's kind of a rusty tool.
Yes. But it's going to come back stronger than ever.
But it is. We have to oil it, and we have to point it in the right direction. Maybe that's the answer.
Absolutely. Kitty, I appreciate you.
And let's do it now rather than later.
Amen. No, there's no theater happening right now. I think this is the perfect time to like really, if that means you have to take a left turn from what you've been used to, then that's what happens now, because like this is the new normal now, guys. You know, this is the new normal. It's not going to, you know, even if there is a vaccine, it's not going to be the same anymore, my friends.
No, it's not.
You know? So you guys have to be ready for that.
And the other good thing that is coming is the fact that this whole thing has forced people to figure out how to do live streaming on a large scale.
Very much so. Yes.
And that might be the way that we can now get the word out.
Yes.
Faster.
Absolutely.
And, you know,
absolutely.
We can fit, 100 people now in Kelsey Theater. 400, but now we can put 100 in.
Right.
We can reach another 1,000 on a live stream.
Yes.
Then it becomes a really effective tool.
Absolutely. 100%. 100%.
So, but you got to help me do this.
We're all in this together.
Do this somehow, because.
No, I appreciate
Clueless.
Thank you so much for sitting with me and having this chat with me. And
Kyrus.
I think it's stuff like this kind of open conversation that helps push things forward. And I'll always appreciate what Kelsey has done for me, and I'm going to do everything I can to help improve not just Kelsey, but you know, you know me, I like to shoot for the stars. You know, I want to be able to help as many people as possible here. So, but with that said, thank you so much, Kitty. Thank you so much for talking with me and all of that. If you enjoyed this conversation, please feel free to follow me on Facebook and Instagram at The Vibe with Kai. You can also follow me on Snapchat and on TikTok at Kyrus Keenan. And you can visit my website, thevibewithkai.com. And get your merchandise.
Get your merchandise.
15,
I was just going to say that.
15%. That's what this whole thing is about. It's about selling merch. You can go to my website, The Vibe with Kai. As always, my friends, I love y'all and good vibes.